What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to a recent news video featuring a Canadian man who says he had a horrible experience at the US-Canada border. So, as unpleasant as this sounds, I do want to take a look at this video and try to understand what exactly happened, because obviously tensions have been pretty high between our two countries, to say the least. And, honestly, it's just really, really discouraging to hear that the United States has yet again done something bad. So let's take a look.
Well, Sandy, the man I spoke with was released after a few hours, but he describes the situation as scary and is worried it could happen again.
Do I even want to know? Do I even want to know? Yes, I do. But that little introduction already has me extremely nervous. What on earth happened? This Canadian guy was released? Eventually. For what? Why was he captured? Why was he detained? What was going on here? This is just the US-Canada border? Like he's just trying to travel? I don't even know any of the details yet in this already. It sounds bad.
This is North America's busiest border crossing, the Ambassador Bridge, which connects Windsor and Detroit. It's where Greg Williams was detained by U.S. Border Patrol last month as he tried to enter the United States with his wife and dad.
Oh, what the... Oh, I don't even know what to feel anymore. Okay, there's still, more details that we need to have, but they're painting this story already. He was detained at the border, which is a pretty big deal. By the sound of it, that's not something that should happen all that often, It's not something that should commonly be happening just to some random guy trying to travel, Man, and it's extra bad now. It would be bad no matter what. Although I don't know why they detained him. Let's wait a second here. I was just gonna say this is extra bad now because it's like Canadians are already choosing to not travel to the United States in record numbers. We're already suffering. And then we're detaining random people and then setting them loose hours later for no reason, or maybe there is a reason. I don't know.
And then it was turn the car off, hands on the dash, and within seconds there were 15 agents surrounding the car.
That is terrifying, by the way. Just thinking of that happening to you. Particularly, I'll say it again, now. At this point in history, not to mention it says his dad and his wife are in the car with them. They're all probably confused and scared. Why are we being surrounded? I don't know. Was there 2,000 pounds of meth in his trunk? Is there any good reason for this? And they detained him, and yeah, especially now, I'm sure Canadians, I'm sure a lot of Canadians have heard about some of the stuff that has happened very recently in the United States, especially with ICE and U.S. citizens getting shot and killed in the streets, and it's pretty scary. So yeah, just this image of 15 U.S. Border Patrol agents, I guess, running at your car is probably pretty scary. If you haven't done anything.
Williams says he was handcuffed and taken into a small room inside the nearby building. He was photographed and fingerprinted before ever knowing why he was being detained.
What? Okay, I don't know why they are why they're building up the suspense so much. I wish they would just say why he was detained, but I guess they're like making this kind of like a suspenseful story. Did he do anything? That's the crux of this whole situation, right? If he didn't do anything, if this is some kind of mistake or something, this is outrageous. This is, yeah, here in the US, like, I think we're kind of famous for suing like, if anything happens to you, physically or emotional damage, in this case, we sue each other. I don't know if this guy can sue for, like, emotional damages or what, but that's what would happen here. If he was a US citizen, for sure they'd be doing that. Maybe he's just happy to have been let out alive. I don't know. Like, maybe we're at that point, perhaps. And this other part about how they detained, handcuffed. Did they handcuff his whole family? I mean, when you think about the details of, like, literally what they did, that's what's going on. This is supposed to be the United States, the land of the free and the free. It's so bad. It's so bad. No wonder people don't want to come here. No wonder. Especially with stories like this, it just affirms anybody who is hesitant to travel here. I like to say, as an American, like, in my personal experience, I still, like, enjoy a pretty normal-ish, certainly safe existence, at least where I live. And so I try to spread a message of, like, there's a lot of places in the U.S. that are very nice and very welcoming and fun places to travel, perhaps. And it's like, then you hear about this. And I'm sure a lot of Canadians, like, roll their eyes and are like, yeah, sure, whatever, Tyler. Like, as much fun as I could have in your little cornfields, like, I don't want to get tackled to the ground by 15 officers and handcuffed. They didn't even tell him what they were detaining him for. That should be illegal or something.
Wasn't worrying about being sent to some, Ecuadorian supermax, it's which is very much white privilege of me, that it's like I don't have to worry about those things, but that's also like
I'd be worried. He seems like a normal, funny guy, too. Like, this is the guy we're going after? There's, like, murderers and rapists and criminals out there and, like, drug traffickers, and this is the guy that you're pulling out of his car, handcuffing, interrogating? Really? That's what we're doing? That's okay.
Nobody should.
Turns out there's another Greg Williams with some sort of a record that prompted the detention of this Greg Williams, an Ontario musician.
Oh my God. You're kidding me. On top of every criticism I have come up with today, incompetent. I hadn't even mentioned incompetence. They screwed up what's his name? Greg Williams?
Record that prompted the
Nobody should.
Turns out there's another Greg Williams with
Greg Williams. There's another Greg Williams. No big deal. I mean, what is that important? Is that important even to be able to keep straight what Greg Williams is a criminal, which one is an innocent musical artist? Does that even matter? Does anybody keep track of this stuff? Like, come on. Is it I mean, that's the day and age we're living in, I guess. We can't even keep this stuff straight at our own border. Unbelievable.
musician.
This happened because I have the same name, and that's crazy.
That's good. Absolutely. That's crazy. That's unacceptable is what it is. You have the same I'm sure I have the same name as some crazy random criminal out there. I'm sure we all do. Like, given enough people with enough names, that doesn't mean we have to live like this. Oh my God, this is like a U.S. government agency too, like the border security. screwing this up. Wow. I was wondering what the reasoning for all this was. They kind of held it till halfway through the video. They traumatized this guy and his family because they can't keep straight who's a criminal and who's not. They can't literally do their job. That's bad. It's very bad.
Williams was released after a couple of hours, but his story highlights the growing number of Canadians being caught up in the immigration crackdown underway south of the border.
Yeah, so many things to say about that. It took hours, for one thing, which is unacceptable. Hours for this guy who's completely innocent to be let loose, to be let free. Should have never been detained in the first place. Then all the things you could say about how, what a horrible message this is sending. Like, and the fact that this happened to a Canadian guy, is that coincidence? Is it like incompetence? Is it purposeful? You know, at best incompetence, at worst, you know, some kind of weird vengeance against this Canadian. I want to think that's not the case. Like, it's just stupidity, but the fact that like it's during this crackdown and there's been all these extra, I think Canadians have to like do fingerprints or picture ID extra things now to visit the US, and if you stay more than 30 days, you gotta like do all this extra stuff now. Like, there's been this weird crackdown on Canadians visiting the US in a time where we should be doing everything in our power to facilitate the relationship between Canadians wanting to visit the US and doing everything in our power to make it easier. Not this.
More than 200 Canadians have spent time in ICE custody at some point since January, compared with 137 detained in 2024. Records show at least 6 children were among those detained. While a handful of Canadians had felony convictions or other criminal records, the vast majority were picked up for visa violations or less serious infractions, which experts say marks a major shift in policy.
Jeez. Okay, like, sure. Like, calling people on expired visas or actual real, like, infringements on U.S. law. Sure, fine, that's good. We should uphold the law, but this is just... There should never be a mistake like this, in my opinion. It's not like... It's not like you forgot to buy the eggs at the grocery store. Like, oops, I made a mistake. No, this is like real people's lives.
Most part, from what I've seen, we're looking at very minor criminal infractions, but sufficient to attract the radar of U.S. enforcement.
Experts say in the past, Canadians would have been denied entry into the United States or sent back to Canada, but are being detained more frequently.
Oh, wow, that's a whole different, like a whole other can of worms. How we're treating Canadians that do these, we're cracking down on the most minor of infractions, which, sure, fine, you know, that, like, at least that's legal and there's something wrong there. Like, if they did indeed commit a crime or infraction or, but we've also, like, gone out of our way to make the punishment worse or detain Canadians, keep them here, like, as a punishment, rather than sending them home, as was the standard protocol. It's just so bad, and you can't help but look at it and just objectively be like, it really just looks like the United States is purposefully doing this to Canadians. Yeah. What are you gonna say this is a coincidence that all this crackdown and stuff is happening? Maybe this was a honest mistake, but with people's lives like being affected like this guy trying to cross the border, there shouldn't be mistakes like this, and certainly shouldn't take hours to figure it out. Yeah, this was bad. I saw the headline for this. Canadian guy had a terrible experience at the U.S. border, and yeah, man, this is up there. This is bad. Maybe not as bad as it could have gone. I think I was like assuming I don't know what these days, but that was very bad, inexcusable, embarrassing. But but I'm glad to learn about it because these are the kinds of stories they don't really share and talk about much here in the U.S. It doesn't make the mainstream U.S. news events like this. So I'm glad to at least learn about it, be aware of it. So anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave comments with your thoughts on this crazy story, especially if you're Canadian, hearing your point of view, like how this makes you feel. That'd be interesting to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canadian things that I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.